Australians are happy to tap and go. Now the government wants them to tap and show.
What we want to do is make life easier, allow your credentials to be at your fingertips and keep your personal information safer.
A digital ID called TEX linked to MyGov, removing the need to hand over passports, driver's licences, birth certificates for companies to store and too often lose to hackers.
The Optus incident, one of the first on a large scale, showed why we have to do things differently.
The information will be heavily encrypted, so no sensitive data is shared or stored. Using a QR code and a simple tap to verify ID for hotel bookings, hiring cars, signing up for phones and more.
This is really a game changer in putting citizens at the centre of their identity management.
The TEX system will use personal data already stored on MyGov and send a digital receipt of all information shared and with whom. The chance of fraud reduced, but not entirely removed.
Some people will go and try and create false MyGov identities. We're trying to strengthen all of the issues against that.
The TEX system is in the final stages of development with the aim of being rolled out next year. Using it, though, will be optional. Google and Telstra are helping develop the technology.
TEX will be time-saving. It'll be money-saving.
The opposition raising questions.
Mr Shorten's talking a big game, but let's wait and see whether he can actually deliver.
Saying tap and show is a wait and see.
Digital ID. I know an awful lot of people write emails to me about it, and I know that an awful lot of people are particularly passionate about it, and for the communication we get, fearful of it. It, of course, is now the law of the land, but the program is now starting to roll itself out. Now, Joe, I don't know whether you can answer a question for me on this or not. Does everyone just get one in your MyGov app, or do you have to double-click to buy into the system?
I do not know, and I think they're still working that out. I think it'll be interesting. I would imagine it would have to be an opt-in thing. Otherwise it would be like how U2 put all their B-sides in your iPhone and didn't tell anybody. That is going to backfire spectacularly. But I did just want to read out, I just prepared this one little quote, which I just thought was the most ABC comment ever. They don't even know they're doing it. It's amazing. That's right. But the ABC in its story has written, just in a completely straight news piece, its proposed trust exchange system, which is an ominous word, trust exchange.
I heard gold standard trust exchange.
Who am I exchanging trust with today? I mean, if you're going to exchange trust, shouldn't you at least wear some protection?
Well, I was going to say, I hope there's active consent during all of this.
That's right. But its proposed trust exchange system would use QR codes made popular during the COVID-19
how popular were they?
We loved it,
Who
right?
thought they were who but some poor kid writing for the ABs and think, these are really popular. It's like, it's like reading the newspaper is really popular when you've been kidnapped and you've got a gun to your head.
I just wanted to tell everyone
reading the newspaper with today's date.
Here's today's date. I just love telling everyone how much the date is. Exactly. But I think the issue here, right, and obviously I understand those that are hardcore about this are screaming at the telly, get into the issues, My point is this, right? The legislation has passed, okay? So the time for being able to unscramble that egg, alas, has gone. At the time, those who tried to talk about it, again, you nutters and all the rest of it. So let's talk about the practicals here, right? Now, again, what they will claim to be the advantages is that essentially, rather than having to fill out the same form 700 times, there's this one thing that you'll be able to access that means they'll give the information for you. However, why I just want the opt-in system as opposed to automatically in it is, I don't know, it's not got nothing to hide, but I don't want the readout of where I was and what I did, and if signing in to licensed venues is going to be part of this. Sorry, I don't want that.
Well, we went through this with COVID, right? Everyone tracking us through what coffee shop you went to, what hotel you went to, not that you have anything to hide necessarily, but you don't want the government...
Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm trying to be, it's television, I'm being good. But you don't want the government knowing everywhere you go, and that's the problem. And I don't know, the MyGov app itself, give me strength. Every time I've tried to use that app itself, it's a nightmare.
It's way better than it used to be.
Oh, is it? I haven't had the courage to go back.
Because you see, under the previous government...
Oh, is that what it is? That's what it is. That's what it is.
And Clarendale's a great performer.
I heard it described today as a honeypot for cyber attack.
Of course.
Of course it is. It's like part of the rainbow thing.
Right.
Because remember, the data was... there was a data leaks at state level when this was all propped up in and around. So again, the issue is that if there's a repository of information... Do I agree to be put in the pot of information, or am I already in the pot of information? And the only way I get to play into the system is whether I do or don't want to access
the pot of information.
I think, to be honest, it's high risk, high reward. It's like the e-health system, which was going to be fantastic, but nowadays so few people opted into it, and it was so sort of piecemeal that you go to anyone who's had any experience with the health system, it's awesome.
Yep.
But the basic stuff that just often gets missed, that I know because my wife knows all this sort of stuff about my kids when they're in there, and they'll tell one person that he needs this medication that doesn't get passed on because it's all just put on a clipboard on the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Like that is not going to last forever. I know this is like the new Australia card and no one likes it, but sooner or later, this is going to be the way of the future. Just like, the bit of paper that used to be a driver's license is never going to be.
Sure.
And if you're using a credit card, the government is already, or the bank is already tracking every single place.
Well, there's. I was going to go into a very detailed story here, but I'll save you. As you know, in Brisbane, right, after a certain time of night, everyone's got to pull out their driver's license to go into, and it's scanned and it's kept. And again, there's that moment where you go, okay, I don't mind checking IDs and I get that what they're trying to do is have a database of, you're a bad guy, person who did something wrong, but. Socially, it's clearly acceptable because it's the only way to get to the pub. But geez, it is a very strange experience having to create a footprint in something that's very social. And it feels like to me that it's about trying to create a digital footprint in areas where the government's, why do they need to know anything about this?
Well, from what I read today, it was opt-in. They are saying it is opt-in, but it's access to your passport. Like I said, the license is online now, so it is all there. And my concern is the risk of a cyber attack.